one thing that we say is like the AI is here, but it's going to be two types of people: people who build it and work with it, or people just going to let it run them over, right?
Right.
Is definitely going to be the way. And the computer is only as smart as the user, right? The computer is
Mhm.
only as smart as the person inputting information to it. Yeah, it can do a lot of things on its own, but once you get that human brain and soul to, add to it, it's a whole nother beast and a whole nother industry. Haas, you mentioned, the chunk of a lot of people's money is coming from live touring and shaking their asses. I see you got a tour. I see you got tour on your website, right? So, do you guys tour? How often do you guys tour? Talk about the touring part of your business.
Well, look, no, honestly, we dabble with touring off and on, so it's a kind of like a special occasion for us. So number one, a lot of artists that we have, they're up and coming artists or they're artists that are non-exclusive. So we only
Mm,
have a select number of exclusive artists. So that way they book, for example, we have a band, Kevali, they're amazing. They're out of Alberta, Canada, and they're kind of like rock, pop, country. And they're actually an example I use of a successful artist that doesn't rely on Spotify. So if you go
mm,
on their Spotify, they got an average number of a few hundred players or 1,000 players per month. Okay, they've released only 4 songs. They're very good, but they're making 20K a month, for example, just live gigging.
That's dope.
okay.
Okay, so that
Fuck
shows you that
Spotify.
as a successful artist, there's multiple channels that you can rely on. So going back to booking, look, because we sign artists per track, not a 360 deal. So we don't have much control over their bookings and they're all over the world. They're all active. Okay.
Hmm.
So a lot of bookings that we do, it's special events through our magazine, or let's say Aristo does a couple shows a year. I myself do a couple shows a year. But 2025 and 2026 will do more shows because our label has gotten to a level where people are approaching us. So when you want to do shows, you a lot of time until you don't have that hit, you got to approach the promoters, the venues, and stuff like that. And that sometimes gets in the way of creativity. So for us, was it do we release more music or less music and more shows? So our motto was more music, more production, and eventually you'll get the shows too. So that's where we're at in 2025 and 2026. You'll see a lot more shows as time goes by, but shows is not our focus. Our focus is music, radio, publishing, and the magazine that we have, plus all the other side agencies that we handle.
If I could throw something right quick, it's about performance in general. Like
Hmm.
if you looked at it right now, there was a huge like surge of performances, especially after 2020, right?
Right.
But in this industry itself, they've also seen a huge lull in this. You've heard of us, of course, large artists. I'm not going to name them, but they've even tried to come out and start doing their tours, and they've been kind of having that struggle to get that full out show. Right.
Hmm.
Reasons by why is obviously the economy is one thing, but at the same time, too, a lot of people are finding that satisfaction right here on the phone itself, right?
Mm,
So we as a 21st century label, we've also looked and we're looking further into that. Once again, we touch bases on researching consistently. That's something that needs to be done in any field you're in, right?
Hmm.
It's just something that's the back head. You always have to be go to sleep with something, wake up with something, a form of information that you can learn from, right? And it's one of those things where it's music industry 101 right now with performances. The birth of the virtual age is
Right.
so huge right now. People are gonna, like you spoke about that person you met with, an artist that's getting a lot of placement. That's where a lot of artists are starting to flourish in.